On this episode of Athletic Training Chat, we have Adam Halpern back again, but this time we are talking business basics and the generals of marketing when it comes to really getting a business up and going. So if this is something that you have considered yourself in trying to start your own side hustle or a full-blown business where you're going all in, it's a really good baseline idea of things to pay attention to, what would be relevant, what makes most sense for you, and just really figuring out kind of, again, the basics of what you would like to know and do in order to have the most success as possible. So it was really good high level view of everything with the business basics, and really appreciate Adam taking the time to do that. If you haven't checked out Wave on Health, it is worth looking into if you have struggled to hire an AT, if you need more help, but there's just not enough money in the budget to hire another person. They may have a solution for you, so check out waveonhealth.com. Let them know that you heard about it on the AT Chat podcast, and we would appreciate that. As always, we are powered by Mueller Sports Medicine. Can't thank them enough for their continued support of us and just the athletic training profession in general. So, as always, consider Mueller as you're looking for your next round of ordering. It's one that I've utilized personally. Affordable, yet high quality, good kind of in between for knee braces with their hinge ones. Worked great in the setting I was at in the D3. So, we're checking out. But without further ado, please enjoy this episode. Well, welcome back to this another episode of Athletic Training Chat. We are on again with Adam Halpern. This is another part of the series that we were going on. If you haven't heard it yet, go back and listen to the founder CEO one. And on this one, we are going to talk about some of just the basics of starting a business, where to start, pitfalls, other advice that he has. We were just talking about off screen how he's been on Zoom all morning, and we're just contributing to that. So I'm glad we can be a part of it, but how that craziness comes in. So he is living it real time to make sure people are getting that. But just jumping right in, we've kind of touched on this, I think, and just talking about, finding a problem, coming up with a solution. But is there anything else you'd want to elaborate on kind of people are like getting that itch of like, wanting to start a business, best places to start, or begin to figure out what that might look like / become official?
I think the number one thing, and I'm pretty sure I alluded to it in previous talks, do it because you're passionate about it.
Sure.
Don't do it because someone else thinks owning a business is cool or you want to follow the trend. It is a lot of work. So the number one thing that has to be discussed is, do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the mental fortitude? Do you want to do it? Does your family support it, right? If you're married, if you have kids. So don't just do it because. And then from there, if it's like, no, I really want to do it, you really have to understand kind of like why you're doing it. And I don't want to get into the old Simon Sinek thing, but you have to understand, like, why am I going to do it? Is it to make more money? Is it because I want to serve the underprivileged community? Is it I want to deliver dry needling to women over 40? Whatever it may be, the sooner you understand the real purpose behind you doing it, then all of the other decision making will kind of fall in line, and you'll understand who that market is and where you're going. And then don't try to do it by yourself. As an athletic trainer, because I know I'm speaking to the choir, we don't learn anything about this through our professional education journey. It's not included. We are taught to be a clinical provider. We're taught to be empathetic. We're taught to help people. We're not taught to talk about money. We're not taught about the grind. We're not taught about finances, and it is night and day. So if there are listeners that either are in school, take as many business classes as you can, right? You're already paying for it. You might as well do it for free. Or if you're already licensed, you're already certified, you're already in the workforce, and you want to start your own business, go find resources. I mean, SCORE is all over the country. You can get a bunch of mentoring for free. It doesn't cost you anything. You already pay for it with your taxes. Or every college has adult continuing education, both junior colleges and universities. Go take some finance classes. Maybe you have to do it at night. Maybe you have to do it on the weekend, but really be a lifelong learner around starting a business. And you can do a lot of it without having to spend money. You're just spending your time to really focus on it. So I would start there. Understand why you're doing it. And if money is the driving factor, there's nothing wrong with that. Just figure out how much money you want to make, how much money you need to earn, and then you can put the business model around it.
In getting started, in your experience is with all of the things you've done, when or where is best timing if there's any guidelines and, domain names, registration as a company, turning protection for yourself without getting into obviously too many of the details of it, but, do you have it go on as an idea for a certain amount of time before jumping in? Because some of that costs some money. It's not a lot, but it does cost to get that stuff going.
That is a good question that honestly has a very vague answer because it is based on the individual.
Sure,
So sometimes someone might come up with the catchiest business name of all time, and that domain is available,
sure.
and and they might buy it because they know someone in 3 years might buy it for $3,000 because it was the best domain ever, right? Some of that is obsolete now because almost every domain has been taken because there's kind of a business strategy behind that.
There's a huge market for it too. I've heard.
Exactly. So it really just comes down to how serious someone is. That if someone is really serious and they want to invest in a website, so then they have some form of legitimacy, some form of marketing that they can show customers, or even when they go to SCORE, they can show them, I already have this. So it shows that the mentor shows the mentor that the person is really dedicated to it. If you do go get a business license, then that means you can start to make money so that you're really into it. It goes down to the person again, like how serious and how ready are you? And there's not A, B, C, D steps. It's all of it can happen at the same time. Some of it can happen first, some of it can happen second. The only thing that you can take into perspective is if you are an athletic trainer at a high school, at a clinic, at a university, and you are an employee, you don't really have any tax write-offs. If you are a solopreneur and you start to spend money that allows your business to grow, all of that stuff can be a tax write-off. So that does have an advantage. The sooner you are a business, if you're serious, all of your CEUs, all of your travel to conferences, all of that can be a write-off. So then you pay less taxes. You're still paying for it. Doesn't mean you get free money, but it means you're going to pay less taxes because your personal business is offsetting the amount of money you're making from the real job. So you can take that into consideration if you're really looking at what and when you want to take it seriously.
Other best practices that you found, and kind of contrary to that, any pitfalls that you would advise people to try and steer clear of, that you've seen or personally experienced? I know we've talked about that a little bit, but if you had any other specifics.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole like methodology behind the lean startup, and there's books about it. I've been through accelerators that talk about it. And the real premise is do it as lean as you can for as long as you can, which means don't spend a bunch of money Don't try to build something. Find products that are already on the market or do things for free. Like our time is the biggest commodity we have.
Right.
So if you're able to do pen and paper, if you're able to use Excel sheets without paying for a platform, that's the lean methodology. So it's about saving money first instead of spending money. And everyone's different. So someone might say, well, I need a flyer. Okay, well, make the flyer yourself. Don't hire a marketing firm to make a flyer for you until you know that the flyer works, and then you just give it to a marketing person to make it prettier. But a lot of that customer discovery comes from conversations we have with actual customers. No one else is ever going to be better than us understanding what we're doing, but we need to have those conversations. So with that said, the best practices, and they say it in the lean startup method, is like get out of the research lab and go talk to customers. So
Right.
athletic trainers are really good talking to athletic trainers. Well, do you know what coaches want? Do you know what athletes want? Do you know what club directors want? Like if you don't talk to them, it doesn't matter what we think. Even though we're the subject matter expert, it doesn't mean we know what a customer will pay for. So it's really just get outside and do as much grunt work as you can to really build the business around it.
That makes a lot of sense. Kind of a follow-up question to that, and it may be the same answer, is what have you seen that people tend to miss that they just absolutely can't miss if you're wanting to kind of start up a business, whether it's side hustle or full blown?
Yeah. I mean, I did say it, but you're bringing up the right point just to emphasize it. They're missing the opportunity to ask the customer what they want, what they find valuable, and what's really important is how much will they pay for it.
Yep.
Like without that customer discovery, you're building something that someone doesn't want. And I think there's an old story about I'll say they were building cars and they spent all the money to paint them, and the customers wanted that car, but they wanted it in blue and they only printed red. And if they would have just asked the customer, what kind of car do you want, what color do you want, they would have said blue, but instead they had to repaint all those cars, right? Do something like that. So athletic trainers are really good at the skill, they're really good at helping athletes, but until they ask an athlete, what do you want, what do you need, we're kind of missing, right? It's two boats passing in the night. We don't really know what they want.
And there has to be kind of a fine balance of that, right? Because along your car analogy, I was thinking of another one. I think it was like Henry Ford that said, if you had always asked the customer what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Yep.
Before the car became kind of, obviously that was a revolution in everything, but that balance of knowing what they want, but potentially seeing knowing that subject matter to figure out how to tie those together.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. There is that fine balance, and we're experiencing that because we're creating a new industry. We have to
Yep.
show them this is what it does. This is how it works. This is how it solves pain points that we've heard in the past. How much will you pay for it?
Yep.
And or it can do all of this. What are the top three things you want it to do right now? So those are all part of that customer discovery. And athletic trainers just need to talk to the end customer more. And I don't think we do it enough. I think there's a lot of athletic trainer talk about how amazing we are and how our value should be greater and we should get paid more. But I don't think they're really asking the right questions about what the customer finds value in us. So then when we give that conversation back about we need to be compensated for the value, we're speaking their language instead of
Sure.
trying to force feed our language and our value down their throat.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Just kind of a shift over to a little bit of marketing, which obviously is a big part of building a business and the basics. Do you kind of have some basic definitions that you've come to really go on when it comes to marketing? Because I feel like it is a broad umbrella of so many things, but ones that you've really focused on or have been successful for you.
Um, I'll answer it in this way. I don't know if there's anything that's been successful, but I will say there's kind of three buckets.
Okay.
There's branding, there's marketing, and then there's sales.
Okay.
and they all overlap. You have to know what you're going to market because you already know your brand, and then people will pay for, and there will be a sale based on the marketing because they like the brand, right? So they're all different, but they all play in the same pool.
Yep.
The brand can be Joel, the athletic trainer, right? Like that can be the brand. And then all of your marketing needs to be, hey, come meet with Joel. And then here's how much it costs. If we talk about a scalable business, sometimes when you have your name attached to it, no one else can get involved because their name is not Joel.
Sure.
Right? So that's where branding can impact the marketing and can impact the future sales of the company. It's very easy to get clever with names, but if it doesn't make sense to the end user, you might have a very clear, concise brand, but it's really difficult to market to make sales. And I'll say this just so people know, I went through that. I was like, I have no idea what to call my company. And then if we talk about marketing, like a domain, a website domain does play a factor in it. Because if you have a name that is 30 characters and it takes someone 30 seconds to type in your name, they're not going to do it, right?
Right. Yep.
And I know it's different now. There's apps, there's QR codes. It's very different than it was. But you do want to have a clever, simple name. And the thing is, like, you want to have it 6 characters or less, because then that's really easy to remember. So I was trying to figure out, oh man, in the world of athletic training, what are small words that we can use? And the way I came up with Wave On was, we all know this, when an athlete goes down on the court or they go down on the field, there's an event that happens that triggers this whole unique world that we are from, that no one else really knows what it is. And that is, the athletic trainers are waved on, right? Not the orthopedic surgeons, not the physical therapists, not the team doc or the primary. The athletic trainers are waved on. And then to kind of pull that into marketing, there's other ways that I can kind of spin that we're able to get athletes waved on past the front desk at ortho clinics or PTs because
Yep.
we have that white glove concierge service. And then ultimately, we're the next wave of athletic health. So I can kind of use it to my advantage in different conversations. So that's, branding is important, sales is important, or a marketing, and then how all that leads to sales.
If you wouldn't mind sharing at least just a general timeline, how long did it take you to come up with the concept, of the name and then kind of the back end of all of that?
Oh, I mean, I wish I had a good answer. I don't remember because we've had it for a couple years.
Gotcha.
It was not 20 minutes, I can tell you that. It was
Fair.
using my phone, taking notes, kind of asking people what they think about this name. And then we found a marketing company that did the logo that has a circle, which is really good because it's ongoing, right? Athletic training is a
Yep.
continuous. It wasn't short, but it wasn't like 5 years. I mean, it was a couple weeks at most, but it
Okay.
was a lot of work. It wasn't just I woke up one morning like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to call it, and I know the logo. It was a lot of grinding and thinking about it and back and forth.
And then I think we talked about this. I can't remember if it was during your episode or kind of off air. Adding the health, was that important to kind of help distinguish it, versus just having wave on, which
Yeah.
could potentially, even be broader than what you've explained? Um, or was wave on, taken as a domain name and you had to
Yeah.
pivot
So
slightly
yeah, Wave On was taken as a domain name. That was a big factor. The health actually helps distinguish it.
for sure?
There are trademarks around Wave On, but not in the healthcare space.
Got
And
it.
we've all seen the flags that blow in the wind. Someone in the flag space has Wave On. So we just put health on top of it just to kind of clear everything out, that it just makes sense.
Makes makes perfect sense. I know we have a little bit of just a tiny bit of time left. So any big misconceptions in marketing
Mm.
that you've seen, or again, kind of that pitfalls that it's just people spend too much money or too much time, because obviously, like you said, that is one of our biggest commodities.
Yeah.
Or that you found, that, oh man, I wish I could have these hours back, from doing something.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a misconception, but you have to spend money to make money. And marketing is one of those areas where you have to spend it to make it. However, through metrics, you can really learn what is bringing in sales and what is bringing in revenue. So you can get a lot of interest on like Facebook click ads, so you can spend a lot of money, but if it's not yielding a return, then it's not worth the spend.
Right.
But you have to test it. So I'm not going to say don't do that. For some companies, it's really successful. It's really understanding how to try things by spending money, but quickly being able to turn it off because you're reading the data behind, is it working or not working? So it's really just understanding what are the different avenues. Going to a sporting event and setting up a table might be really good, but if you don't meet anyone, well, you're not talking to the customers.
Right.
Actually working as an athletic trainer at an event and working with athletes and then giving them a business card when you're done didn't cost you anything but the price of the business card, and you made money covering the event. So
Yep.
you have to be kind of creative and don't just follow what a marketing company wants. I will say this. Athletic training is such a niche. Marketing people in general sometimes don't understand the profession.
Sure.
So just do what they say, have a real good collaboration conversation with them about how can I leverage marketing in these avenues, because this is what I do and this is how it's advantageous and this could be the outcome. That we have to sometimes educate the marketing world about what we do, and then they can come up with their creativity around marketing to help us be successful. I would say that.
Makes sense. Well, in the interest of time, we will kind of end everything here. We'll have one more of these. I believe we got to get that on the calendar, but kind of talking about just more of the athletic training evolution. I know I've enjoyed a lot of your thoughts on the profession, and we'll just dive into that a little bit deeper. But thank you again for taking the time, shedding a little bit more insight on getting business up and running, and we'll look forward to the next one.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. To the audience, I'm always available. Just Adam P. Halpern on LinkedIn. You can find us on the internet, social media, Wave on Health. I'm always available to help. So reach out to me if you have any questions.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Athletic Training Chat. Hope you took away some good ideas on the business basics. We sure did. If you haven't seen yet on our social media, we have partnered to start with the AP Corner podcast on providing CEUs for all of their episodes. Look for some to come from us, hopefully in the nearest future, but you can check those out for free at clinicalpress.org/courses. You can register, so you have an account and you can enroll in as few or as many courses as you want. Listen to the podcast, take the quiz, download the certificate right through there. It's fairly seamless. Hope you check that out. We're really proud that we got this up and running and hoping to have a lot more as we continue to go into the future. So please check that out. But thank you again for listening to this episode. If you would like to tell your story or have a topic that you want to talk about, we want to hear from you. So reach out to us on social media or at atc@athletictrainingchat.com. Thank you.